The following presentation is brought to you by the Realm Network.
Jabron.
This is Vince Russo's The Brand.
Hello, everybody. It is Monday morning. It is the beginning of the week, and we open up every week on The Brand the same way, bro. The same way with my very good friend. Perfect way to start the week, bro. My good friend, Big Vito LaGrasso. Big Vito and I go back all the way to 1991, bro. Everybody knows that. 27 years. We've been on a journey, bro. We've remained friends. I love the guy, the brother I never had, bro. And he's with me in Florida, and I know it's killing him, bro, because he's inside, and he likes to do this outside because he loves the Florida weather, but sometimes the internet connection is not great outside, so he's sitting in the house, which I know is killing him. What's going on, Big Vito?
I want to say hello to everybody. Finished my glorious workout this morning, took a great shower, had my latte. It's a little cloudy out there today, but, I'll deal with it. Got a big day ahead. But, of course, we're going to do Get in Color. My good buddy Vince Russo. Vince, good to see you. You're looking buff. I'm telling you, you're working out. You're jacked.
Bro, never mind how jacked I am with my Bret Hart t-shirt. Bro, I don't see you putting on any weight over there, bro.
I have been eating. I don't know. Everybody keeps telling me this, but I'm eating. My arms are jacked.
Bro, can I tell you something? And you're not gonna like this because I know, you're the beauty king, bro. Bro, you know how I could tell you're losing weight? Not the arms are jacked, bro. You're getting like a turkey neck, bro. That's where I'm noticing it.
I can't help.
What are you eating? I want to know your wife's not there to take care of you. I want to hear what you're eating. Give me an average day, bro.
Well, I have my RX Energy from Arizona Energy drinks to start the day. And I have banana. I have some protein cereal. I do my turkey. I do my carrots, my celery. And I'm doing apples and bananas. I count my almonds because I got to keep fit. But basically, I'm just like on a good diet. That's all. And plus,
that doesn't sound good to me. That sounds like you're starving, bro.
But I'm eating. But just for those people who want to see me eat, I do eat one pizza a week, one whole pizza. But you got to remember the humidity in Florida is so great that no matter what you're doing, you're sweating constantly. And I am sweating all the time. It's like a nonstop sweat. So then when I'm going to the gym, I'm burning off even more. So when I lived in Florida in Tampa before, like I told everybody, I was very lean, extra lean. And everybody thought, wow. It's just the humidity that gets you, and that's what shrinks you down. I'm not eating all this junk and fat. I never did that.
I am.
Yeah, but you're bulking up. You're bulking up for mania. That's your problem.
Hey, bro, I want to get back to the pizza a week. Do you eat that in one sitting, or do you eat that over the week?
No, Vince. Let me tell you something. I order a pizza a week when I feel my body is depleted. It's either on a Thursday or Friday. Go to Papa John's. And I get a pizza, one whole pizza. I could sit there and eat a garden pizza with extra chicken, extra cheese, extra everything on it. And I am not full after I eat the pizza.
Oh my God, really, bro? You don't have agita? You don't have agita after the pizza?
I could probably eat two of them and enter me in a pizza eating contest, and I will dust anybody.
Oh my gosh. All right. Listen, everybody watching on Twitch, I'm going to tell you the topic today and then I got to let you go cuz you guys know the drill, man. The show's exclusive to those subscribing on the Realm Network. We got to be fair to them, so I can't do the whole show. That's why we give you a little 5-10 minutes. If you want to see the whole show, if you want to see every show on the Realm Network 5 days a week, bro, you know you just got to go to russosbrand.com. You sign up for the Realm Network. Bro, it's less than $1 a week, man. You get to see all the shows. So I'm going to give you the topic of what we're going to talk about, which is really going to be a Getting Color theme, a kind of behind the scenes theme. And I'm going to kind of hold Vito to naming names because I think it's important and I think it's going to be interesting. I would never set up Vito to bury anybody, and I don't think anybody's going to be buried here today, but I'm going to try to get him to name names just so we have a better understanding. Okay, Vito, here's what I want to talk to you about today, which I'm interested in, bro. People got to understand, man, when I do this show, I'm not a wrestler, bro. So even though my buddy Vito is a wrestler and, Disco and Stevie and Ben Hameen and all those guys, sometimes I have wrestling questions that even though I've been in the business for a long time, I don't know the answers to these questions. And I think as a fan, it will lead to very interesting conversations. So I'm not asking Vito just so we have something to BS about. I'm asking him because this is something I like to hear about and I like to be educated about. Okay, Vito, here's where I got the topic for today's show. Me and Jeff did Castrating the Marks yesterday, okay? Right. And, he had a clip from Ryan Satin, okay, bro? And Ryan Satin, was basically laughing with his idiotic friends, and they were saying that, when Bret Hart was in the WCW, that they were just they were literally Bret was a mid-carder and this, that, and the other thing. And this is the comment he made. He goes, "Oh yeah, bro, they even booked Bret Hart in a 20-minute match with Disco Inferno. Like, how low can you go?" Okay, so hold on. I'm going to let you go. It's going to be yours, but let me just set the table. So right there and then I said, here's the problem, Jeff. Here's the problem with all the Ryan Satins in the world. They don't have an effing clue, bro. They don't know how this thing works. I said, let me tell you how this thing worked, okay? Bret Hart walked in the door. He found an agent. He said to the agent, "Who am I working tonight?" The agent said, "Disco Inferno." Bret said, "How long?" The agent said, "About 20 minutes. You know what Bret said at that point? Bret said one word at that point: easy. I said, these guys have no freaking idea, that it's a business. And when Bret Hart walks into a building and knows he's got a match with the Disco Inferno, there's some length to the match. Disco's going to make him look like $1 million. He's going to make Disco shine. And at the end of the day, everybody gets over, okay? That's great with Bret. This guy, Ryan Satin, is looking at it as a shoot. Oh, my God, they're booking Bret with Disco, and Disco is a jobber. So that's what I want the topic to be about today, bro. I want the topic to be about – before I start asking you questions, I could see you were chomping at the bit to say something. So you go ahead. You speak your piece first. I'm going to let Twitch hear that. Then I'm going to let them go. Then we're going to have the conversation. So go ahead, bro.
Guys, if anybody remembers when Bret Hart had his first Intercontinental Championship title back in 1991, does anybody know who his first TV match was against?
Vito Turkey Neck LaGrasso.
Right. Skull Bone Crush. Bret was hard on me on that match because he didn't know me. I was new to the WWF. He seen me work. Do you know the next night he came to me and he told me, "Hey, can you come here for a second?" I said, "What's up?" He says, "I was a little hard on you." He says, "I asked to work with you again." He said, "I'm going to give you something." And back then, a lot of guys in the business didn't get much offense. He gave me offense. I wound up, and since that time, I thought it was great. I wound up working with Bret Hart 4 times because he requested me.
Wow, that's great.
And I became friends with him. And then when I arrived in WCW and he watched my first match on pay-per-view, it was me and Johnny the Bull against Lash LaRue and Disco. He came up to me. I was walking in the hallway. He said, "Vito, can I talk to you for a second?" I said, yeah, what's up? He said, you really had a great match. You've come a long way. I'm glad you're here and I'm glad you made it. I thanked him.
Yeah.
That's the mark of a true professional.
Yeah.
Shares the business and looks to make people better.
Yeah.
All the guys who like these, I don't keep up with these guys, these Ryan Satins and all these guys. You know why, guys? Because they're irrelevant. They don't mean anything.
Yeah.
They don't make me any money. They don't mean anything to my life. But when you talk wrestling, these guys like this, they don't have a clue what goes involved and what goes into this. And for people to listen to him and take him by the gospel, what are your gospel of? Being an outsider looking in, or being on the outside wishing you could be? How about maybe you want to be Disco Pro? Maybe you wanted to wrestle Bret Hart. Bret Hart is a pro through and through. And to say he's a mid-carder, what gives you the right? What dues have you paid? Where have you been? What have you accomplished in the wrestling business except say things on a podcast?
Yeah.
I'm disgusted. Go ahead.
I'm disgusted too. And listen, here's what I'm going to talk about with Vito. And there's going to be an interesting conversation because I was never a part of this. Okay, bro? I'm going to talk to Vito literally about, bro, when you walk into a building, whether it's ECW, whether it's WWE, whether it's TNA, or whether it's WCW, because Vito worked at all four of them, bro. Walk me through the process of, when you find out who your opponent is and what goes through your mind and what are you thinking about before you get together with that. I want to hear that whole process, bro, because I was never a part of it. And I'm going to hold Vito to who were some of the guys when you said you're working with so-and-so that you licked your chops, bro, that you knew we're going to tear the house down, bro, blah, 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 blah. And who are some of the other guys that maybe you had a concern because maybe the wrestling styles didn't mesh, maybe there was a personal conflict, who knows? But that's what we're going to talk about on today's show, bro. That process when the talent walks in the building and finds out who he's working with that night. All right, Vito, be honest with me. This is getting color now, and this isn't to bury anybody. Like, I really want to get the positive thought process and the negative, like what would be the concerns if it was somebody that, like I said, bro, maybe it was a mesh of style or maybe there was something personal or whatever the case may be. So, Vito, walk me through this, bro. You walk in the building, you got your bags, you're ready to go to work. How do you first get those marching orders?
All right. So what happens, guys? You get up in the morning, you go to the gym, you go back to the hotel, you pack, go to the arena, you walk in the building.
Do you shave the body? What about shaving? You shave down and everything?
Everything is brushed, combed, trimmed, groomed. You're ready for action.
Okay, good.
All right. So you go to buffet, okay, and you wait for the booking sheet to come out, and everybody's, having some.
Let me stop you right there. Hold on, bro. I want to pick this apart. You're a professional. You're going to work, right? Like a fireman would go to work, a teacher, a sanitation engineer. You're going to work. Before you go to catering, like, are you really starting to think about, I wonder who I'm working with? I mean, like, are you thinking about that before you even get to the building? Or literally, is there a routine like once I get to catering, once I eat, then I'm going to think, or are you constantly thinking about, I wonder what they're going to book me with tonight?
Well, I mean, it's a thing. It's a camaraderie thing. You're working with the guys, you're working with the boys, you're on the road with them. So you're probably coming from house shows to going to TV. So you already have an idea kind of what's going on. You're just waiting to see what kind of storyline they're going to give you. If you continue in the feud with who you're wrestling, or they're putting you in another feud, or they're giving you another guy to wrestle. But you go to catering, everybody's happy, you go through your thing, then you get the booking sheets come out, and then you get, okay, my opponent is so-and-so. You say, okay, you go up to the guy, hey, man, we're working tonight.
Well, hold on, bro. You're going too fast.
Okay.
You're looking at who you're working with now, bro.
Right.
Before you go up to them, are you thinking it through in your head first? Like, in other words, I know the individual. Bro, every guy is differently. So are you thinking of, okay, I'm working with Bret Hart tonight. when you work with Bret, like you got to lay out the match this way, you got to approach him this way, compared to if I'm working with a Eddie Guerrero, I got to approach Eddie this way. I mean, are you thinking all of that, or are you just saying, okay, I'm booked with Bret, I'm going to go find Bret?
Well, the thing is, like, there's a respect factor with the vets and everything. So if you're working with somebody who's like a 20-year vet, like a Bret Hart or Shawn Michaels or an Undertaker, go up to them and say, hey, we're working tonight. And, they say, hey, all right, that's good. So now my mindset is, okay, what can Bret Hart do that I would like to do with him to get him over? So
you're going to, bro, you're skipping. Bro, what do you want to go out to the beach? You can't talk to me for 30 minutes. You're skipping over these things, bro.
I'm telling you my thought process.
But you just said something very important. And again, bro, what I'm trying to point out is these are the things that Ryan Satin, like, he don't even think about these things, okay, bro? The Wade Kellers of the world, all these bananas, they don't think of these things. You just said something very important, Vito. Now, there is a different etiquette, bro, when you're approaching somebody at the top of the food chain,
right?
And there's a different etiquette when you're approaching somebody who's breaking in. Okay, bro, where you're the veteran. So now when you approach a Bret Hart and you approach a guy just coming out of the power plant, two different kinds of introductions, right, bro?
Well, it's the guys who are the veterans know what you can do, and you know what they can do, and they know what you can do. When you get a guy who's green or a guy who comes out of the power plant or something, you say, hey, how you doing? How long you've been wrestling? What do you like to do? I want to find out something about him that'll make him look good, because that's my job. I have to take care of this guy in the ring to make sure he looks good. So this way the match runs smoothly and we have a good, strong match for TV. Same thing like the Undertaker or Bret Hart. They know I could do the elbow drop, the flying headbutt. They know I could do a suplex.
So Vito, based on what you just said, like, okay, when you go to an Undertaker or a Bret Hart or a Shawn, like you said, basically the veteran is gonna lay the match out and walk you through the match. Is that pretty much the pecking order?
I mean, it depends on, like, if it's like you're working with the vet, like somebody who's been there for a while. I mean, they ask your opinion, and both of you work at a match, but they already have. You see, what people forget is there's psychology 101 to a match. Psychology on how to put a match together. So we already know, okay, we're going to come in, we're going to have some shine for the baby face. Heel's going to cut them off. We're going to get some heat. We're going to go to a hold. We're going to go to a comeback, and we're going to go home, whatever the finish is. But there's a basic, method to the madness, and it's not just all one. You got to give the guy something, because if you don't make the guy look like anything, who did you beat that night? Nobody. Ric Flair was a great guy to work with because he made sure you had offense. And this is something I learned throughout the years. If a guy doesn't beat me up and guy doesn't look like he has a chance to beat Big Vito, then I beat nobody. Great point to point out. David Flair is the most timid guy, and Vince was there when he was very green. They said, and I was hardcore champion. And they said, Vito, you got David tonight. I said, no problem. I said, I make him look like a killer. And he kicked the shit out of me for the first 8 minutes of the match. From the back to the ring, everybody was shocked because it brought out this monster in David Flair. I said, David, this is what you got to do. You got to be aggressive. You got to do this. We're going to make it look good. And when I knew the time to cut it off because he got lost or he got confused, that's when I took over and I guided the match. But you have to give these guys a little freedom to be themselves, safely. So this way you can get the match over. Now, if I'm wrestling The Undertaker and he says, okay, Vito, we're going to do this. If we call an audible in the ring, or I'm working with Bret Hart or Goldberg or Steiner or somebody, these guys trust you enough with their bodies where you're going to be safe. You're going to be okay. You're going to be good. How many guys, like I say all the time, how many guys have suplexed Kevin Nash in their time? Handful of guys. Vito LaGrasso was one of them. How many guys have suplex of Bam Bam Bigelow straight over the top of the head? Not too many guys. Vito LaGrasso. How many guys have worked with the Goldberg where you go and doing your stuff, and then Goldberg cuts you up and hits you with the spear, and Goldberg was a big physical presence. How about a Scott Steiner during the Papa Pump era where he had every suplex in the book and he hit me with his whole arsenal, but when it was my time for my comeback, I shocked the building because I weathered the storm, and here I come storming back with Big Vito offense, and the place was up. And that's even a match I watch sometimes, and I'm cheering for myself because I'm saying, man, you took such an ass kicking, but you came back.
Mark. Vito.
I hear you.
Let me ask you a question now. Let's be honest. And bro, listen, this is the stuff I love because this is why people tune into this podcast. Guys, this is why I have on this show people that have done it. Because as you could see, Vince Russo right now has no problem being a mark. Because I'm a mark for stuff like this. I love talking about stuff like this because I don't know, bro, but you're hearing it from the people that do know. Now, Vito, let me ask you this question, bro. How did you handle it, bro, when whether it was a veteran or whether it was, a rookie coming up? How did you handle it, bro, when you're laying out the match and maybe you guys aren't on the same page? How did you handle that?
Well, if it's the first time working together and the term you wear is the first time you touch, not everything usually works out smoothly. But if you're a good worker and you are a quality ring technician or ring general, you could work with anybody and you can make anything work with it. Even if you see things that aren't going right in the match, you know how to change the pace of the match. You say, okay, do this. Okay, let's do this. Okay, let's do this. Because my mindset is to work 2 and 3 moves ahead. So my mind is working and I'm thinking ahead of the match. So if you're not having that beat and you're not working, it's not one spot at a time. I'm thinking 3 steps ahead to keep the match flowing. So this way, okay, I'm going to do this. He's going to do this. He's going to do this. Okay, pick me up. Okay, we're going to do this. We're going to do this. That's the way you become a good worker, when you're thinking ahead and out of the box. And today's wrestlers are spot. When what happens to the good old days when there was one dressing room, here's the other dressing room, you both go in the ring, you never spoke about anything, and you tear the house down because you're calling it in the ring. Something we don't do today because that's not practice and it's not done anymore.
Vito, you just brought something up, and I'm going to keep picking apart. People listening to this show, they hear that term all the time, calling it in the ring. Bro, lay that out. I mean, literally lay that out. That's something, they hear all the time. We all hear all the time. Lay that out, calling a match in the ring. Lay it out. How does that work, bro?
Guys, you got to remember, wrestling is 101 psychology. There's one way to wrestle, okay? There's not, you're starting a match off doing a Huna Karana off the top rope. It's a slow process. You got to get the baby face over, So if the heel attacks, okay, and then it's his time to do 2 hip tosses, drop kick, roll outside the ring, get the crowd up, come back in, beg off, cut the baby face off, start to get some heat. Give him a couple hope spots, have him fight back. You make sure you take over, and then it's time to get into a hold. Okay, you go to a rest spot, you hold, you get the crowd up. Then the baby face is fighting up, you pull him down, you jerk him down, you take him down, you cut him off. Then all of a sudden he gets the best of you, where it's a double down where both guys are down. Then it could be a 1-2, 1-2 where the baby face starts to come back. It's a reverse into clothesline, backdrop. Here he comes, rock bottom, bang. Here he gets up for that, gets up for something else. Boom, finish. 1, 2, kick out. Give me another finish. Bang, 1, 2, kick out. Cut the baby face off. When you cut the baby face off, you're cutting him off. You start to pound him. You could throw in something, reverse, go into the finish. His finish, boom, 1, 2, 3, match is over.
Bro, that was a beautiful thing right there. Beautiful. You see that? Beautiful thing, bro. Beautiful.
But that's the way it's done, guys. And that's just done from repetition and learning the business the way it was supposed to be 20 and 30 and 40 years ago. Not today where it's spot, 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 spot. There's no psychology to a lot of the matches. And it does. I'll give you an instance, okay? I have not been watching wrestling. And this week on SmackDown, I just happened to be home. I flipped through the channels. I was bored. What's on? I see Daniel Bryan, Samoa Joe, and Big Cass. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
I have not watched the man. I have not watched anything. Vince knows this. I got so disgusted because nobody has taught Big Cass how to work like a 7-footer. He works like a 6-footer. Meaning, this man goes in between the ropes. He doesn't always step over the rope. You don't go in between. You make your presence known. If you're going to go in there, it's got to take 5, 6, 7 shots to bring you down to at least a knee. Why are you going down? Daniel Bryan is a great wrestler. I take nothing away from him. But how is somebody like Daniel Bryan going to take your arm from 7 feet tall and bring you down with all your power of the big 7-foot man to put you in an armbar and put you in a submission without beating you down? You got to fight like a 7-footer. Kevin Nash was a great big man. Andre the Giant was a great big man. King Kong Bundy was a great big man. Hulk Hogan was a great big man. You had to knock these guys around. So if you don't knock these guys around, how are you supposed to make it believable? Big Cass, if you ever watch this, if you ever listen, I would love to teach you. I would love to show you. I know they're not smartening you up there. I know they're not giving you the knowledge. I know they're making you take great bumps. You move swiftly. You move gracefully. But you work like a 6-foot guy. You're 7 feet tall. Use your size. Be a big man. Make these guys earn it. Even when guys had to beat Vito LaGrasso, you had to beat me because I had a reputation of being tough. You didn't just knock me down with one punch and just say, okay, call it a day. You're 7 feet tall. That's the psychology of it, guys. A guy like Samoa Joe, he's a big, bulky guy. He plays the heel. He's tough. When you hit him, you got to hit him with 2, 3, covers up. You start going, and you're doing your stuff. But guys, you got to make it believable. Big Cass is 7 feet tall. I love your size. I love your look. Work like a 7-footer, please, because you're killing me. You're killing me. You could be world champion if you learn to walk like a big man. You never see Big Show go through the middle rope. You never see The Undertaker go through the middle rope. Step over that rope. Have your presence felt. Andre over the top rope. When you're going in and you're climbing through the ropes, be a 7-foot giant. Be the man. You have the potential to be the man. Use your assets. Nobody else out there is 7 foot. You're going to have a short career, and in 2 years, you're going to be on the unemployment line.
Very nice. Okay. All right, Vito, name to me and think about this, bro, because there's 4 companies, there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of guys. Think about this. Who were the 3 guys that when you showed up at the building and you knew you were working so-and-so, who are the 3 names, bro, that you were most excited about?
Most excited about?
Yeah. Knowing this is going to be great. We're going to have a great match. We're going to tear the house down. I mean, and you looked forward to working with those people.
There have been so many people that I've worked with. I've worked with all the greats in the business. And, I mean, I'll take WWE. I'll take the dress era to start off, okay? I work with Sylvan quite a bit.
Who?
Sylvan.
Okay.
Sylvan? Okay. Sly was my travel buddy, but he was also a good wrestler. And I knew what he could do in the ring. And a lot of guys, you got to remember, I had 15 years in the business and I've been around. So like a lot of guys, I could work with a lot of different guys. And being a guy like Sylvan in the ring, he took care of me. I said, Sylvan, you got to look strong. You got to be able to beat me. You got to be able to do this. He said, Vito, what about? I said, I want you to do these things. I want you to look good. Sylvan was a good worker, right? If you're talking guys from the era of the WWF, whether it was the British Bulldog or Bret Hart, a young Undertaker. I always look forward to guys wrestling in the ring, right? I always look forward to because I enjoyed my job. When it came to WCW, it wasn't anybody I disliked working with. And it was like Ric Flair. I'm in the ring with Ric Flair, and I'm banging Ric Flair, and he's in there selling my stuff. I enjoyed that. When I'm wrestling with Terry Funk, I'm wrestling Terry Funk, and we're banging away and doing our stuff. Kevin Nash was another guy in WCW. If you didn't let the young guys play and be somebody, you're not developing the talent, and you don't develop the game. You know, that's just some of the guys that I've wrestled.
Now, Vito, how like Vito, were there other guys that I mean, bro, were there other guys where like there was just no chemistry, bro, and it was just difficult because for whatever reason, the styles or whatever, the chemistry was not there. Were you ever in any of those situations?
There's one guy, okay, and I'll say this, and he's my buddy. He is my buddy. He's a friend of mine. We travel together. We're boys. I know his family. I know his kids. I know his wife. Name is Crowbar. You know Crowbar, right?
Sure. Great guy. Greatest guy in the world, bro. Devin Storm.
But his style of wrestling was a spot, stop, have to wait to be set up, have to wait. It was a spot.
So kind of like what the majority is today. Back then, he was kind of working that style.
Back then, he was working that style. It wasn't the style that was programmed for you to work smooth through the match. So for him to get his spots, you had to be in the exact same bump spot for him to land his spots, for him to do his thing. So it took 5, 6, 7, 8 matches to get to be like not get frustrated and to know, okay, I got to adapt to what he can do, even though I would like to work this way. And this is not a bad on him. It's just a different style that he wrestled. And he had it in his mind. He had to do this step by step. Didn't take away from what matches he had and good matches he had. It's just that he had a certain way to work. And a lot of times it didn't work out the way it was. Now, when you could say, okay, I work with Crowbar, then you say, okay, I work with Super Crazy, or I work with Juventud Guerrero. Me and him went back and forth, with like cruiserweights. So if I could work in the same level as a cruiserweight and work at that speed and at that pace, when Hoovy could be a high flyer and he could do all this great stuff, you're talking about Super Crazy, who's another guy, who's a lucha guy, and I could do all these things. And these guys are fluid. It's just certain guys you have to be mechanical, and working with mechanical guys can sometimes be difficult.
All right, Vito, who were the guys, bro, like that you would go in the ring with and know, okay, this is going to be stiff, this is going to be physical, whereas Devin Storm worked that style. Who were the guys that really worked the snug, the stiff? Who were the guys that worked that style where you knew, all right, I'm going to get beat up a little bit tonight?
Well, everybody remembers my Sid match from ECW when Sid came in, and here I was, Skull Von Crush coming up, and everybody knows what happened that night. Paul Lee came in, and he asked 3 different wrestlers to wrestle Sid, and they said, hell no. So I was off that night. Paul Lee said to me, he says, Vito, can you do me a favor? I said, what's up? He says, I need you to work with Sid. I said, okay. He says, you know what I want? I said, yep. Because I knew they were trying to build. So he didn't have to say anything. I took an ass kicking. And the best thing about that is he powerbombed me once. He threw me over the top through a table. He powerbombed me again. I sold it like a champ to where I had to be parted out on a stretcher. I didn't even tell the back to get a stretcher. Paul Lee didn't know. Everybody was horrified in the building because here I am being stretched out, and nobody's ever stretched out Vito LaGrasso, right? So I get to the back. Paul came running down from the tower. I remember Devon's face, Bubba, Taz, and Dreamer. They all came. They said, Vito, you all right? And Paul Lee said, Vito, oh my God, are you okay? And I looked up and I said, yeah, was that good? And they looked at me and said, you're not hurt? I said, no. I said, that's what you wanted, right? And that was the night I got a job, a full-time job at ECW, because I worked the whole arena, the boys and the management, because they asked me to do a job. They asked me, told me, you know what you got to do. I took an asking, and Sid was not light, and he laid it in. I didn't care. Well, I'm tough. I could take it. But the best thing about that is, they said, Vito, you know, if you would have fought back, it would have been a hell of a fight. I said, I know. I would have handled my business.
Yeah.
But that's a guy who's physical, big, guy trying to get over, okay? And everybody in the place thought I got killed, and I didn't. All I did was sell and get the business over. And when it came time for me to come back, nobody told me to get stretched out. Nobody told me. It was an understanding on words and terms, 101 psychology. When you know this in the business, that's how you know what to do. For the Ryan Satins and the gentlemen out there who think you know better, you don't know nothing unless you've been in the ring, you trained, you know what you're talking about. I know I don't do a lot of wrestling podcasts, and I don't spew and I don't shit on anybody and do anything. It's not my style. But to enlighten the people out here and give knowledge, I will do that anytime, any day of the week without burying anybody.
How was it? I'm curious now, you know, because, you know, like Ryan Satin did bring that up. Bro, let's talk about a couple of guys on this show, which, you know, you would have had to work with. What was it like working with Disco, bro? Tell me a little bit about, like, when you just said you and Johnny the Bull against Disco and Last LaRue. What was it like working with Disco in the ring?
It was a pleasure because Disco is a wrestling guy, and Disco knew how to wrestle and knew psychology. So when we put together matches, you know, a lot of people, if they remember that match, I put a lot of doubles in there, right? So it was a lot of double reverses, a lot of double stuff. Where did I learn that from? The Rock and Roll Express and the tag team wrestling. So when I told them, I said, guys, let's do this and let's be different and add a lot of doubles in there so make the match interesting. Worked out great. And working with Disco, he understood the same language I did because we have the same psychology, wrestling 101. Lash was young, Johnny was young. Both came out of the power plant at the same time. So it was me and Disco in there and doing things. And when Johnny was with a veteran with Disco, Lash was with me to make sure everything worked good. And then we were all in the ring together. I had Lash, Disco had Johnny. So when we did the doubles, everything worked out smoothly. You know, and everybody thinks like it's like, you know, like a cakewalk. It's not. And everybody who sits outside and criticizes wrestlers and writers and everything, how do you know unless you have done it? Now, Vince Russo, I'm going to ask you a question. You've been in the ring. You've experienced this stuff. I know you don't want it. I know it was rough for you. But when you approached the wrestlers and you approached them about doing stuff, it was different for you because now they had to show you a kind of respect and they had to be kind to you because you're the head writer and you're the boss. So maybe they did take liberties. Maybe they didn't. Maybe they were a little rough with you. Maybe they weren't. But you're not a physical guy and you're not a wrestler. How did you feel going into those matches not knowing?
Vito, I swear to God, two things, bro. Two things I could tell you. Number one, I kept my mouth shut. And what I was like, okay, bro, like this is the story and this is what we need. That, you know, like this is the story. This is how this thing needs to end. When it came to the wrestling, I sat there, I kept my mouth shut and I listened to everything they said and I did everything they said. Bro, I swear to God, this was always on my mind first and foremost, bro. Especially, you know, like being in there with a Ric Flair or something. This was always on my mind, Vito. All I cared about was I cannot make them look bad. I do not want to make them look bad. That's all I cared about. The worst thing in the world to me was, but I don't care if I would have broke a neck, a back, a head. I didn't care. When I was in there with Ric Flair, I was like, this is Ric Flair. I cannot make him look bad. And Ric Flair was like, okay, here's what we're going to do. Blah, 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 blah. Bro, he told me one freaking time. And I mean, and that was it. But that was always my concern. These are the wrestlers, bro. This is what they do. I'm coming into your world now. I cannot make you look bad. That was my number one concern, bro.
Now, what everybody doesn't know is that a Shane McMahon was in the same predicament, a young Shane McMahon, because he wasn't a wrestler. He's Vince's son. He went in there and he just had the God given ability to wrestle with the Kurt Angles and the Steve Austins on all these guys. And then what one thing everybody forgets is that a young Vince McMahon, who was always made fun of and ridiculed for being an announcer and the owner and a guy who was a writer of the show, what was the one thing he always said that people don't know, that this is part of wrestling history? I could wrestle with you guys and I'm just as tough. Why do you think he did hardcore matches? Why do you think he got involved in wrestling? Why do you think he did it? He's a billionaire. He didn't have to wrestle. He didn't have to do any of this stuff, but he wanted to prove he could do it. Whether he was good, bad, shitty, or whatever, the guy did have some credible matches. And the guys, he had to listen to what the Bretts and the Austins and everybody else had to say, because they had to carry Vince McMahon. And Vince McMahon has the psychology, like Stephanie has the psychology and Shane has the psychology to do these matches. So they're not wrestlers, but they understand the business. They're not full-time, but they know how to get over.
Yeah.
When Vince first started wrestling and he did all the stuff, he took an ass kicking and a beating. Why? Because he wanted to prove he could do this.
Yeah.
Because guys always made fun of him. And that's why he got in the ring.
What about, did you cross paths with Stevie in the ring?
Yes, me and Stevie wrestled on, I think it was a SmackDown edition or Velocity. Me and Stevie had a really good match. And you know what? I knew Stevie could work. And Stevie's been the same place as I did. And both of us never wrestled together. We got in there, we wrestled, everything was fine.
God, you know, bro, it's funny, man. On this show, I've got you, I've got Disco, and I've got Stevie. Bro, there's so many freaking similarities between you three guys. It's unbelievable to me, bro.
That's because we were all taught during an era where you had to learn the business the right way, and you had to learn from the bottom up. You had to learn the psychology, and you had to learn how to put things together. If there was ever a chance where I could teach and have and do this on a big level in a big thing, I would love to be a trainer or a teacher and show these guys how to do this. A talent like a Big Cass who's sitting there, and he's definitely going to be mid-card for the rest of his career unless he steps it up or somebody takes a liking to him and teaches him. There are a lot of talents out there who can learn some stuff. And this comes from the NXT or whatever training facilities guys are coming from, because guys don't know how to teach them these things. And this is not secrets. This is just basic wrestling one-on-one that nobody practices today. And it gets me because I put in the time. I put in the reps and the practice and the training to do this and gain the knowledge. I would love to share it. I sit here with a world of knowledge. I've been every place that everybody wants to go in the world. I've done everything you want to do in the world. But now one person asked me, hey, how about this? How about that? How about the other thing? Why? Because you don't want to know? Or why? Because you don't want me to tell you how great you are, but I will tell you what you're doing wrong. The thing is not to hear how great you're doing stuff. It's how many things you're doing wrong so I could teach you how to get better. And if you can't correct your errors and you can't learn from that, you're never going to advance in the wrestling business.
Yeah, very nice. All right, Vito, what's going on over there? Are you back with the Big Vito brand? What's happening, bro?
Big Vito brand has been doing some good shows. We got ladies in bikinis and tiny tops. And nice. I heard you were on the Big Vito brand the other night. You got a phone call. You did something. Didn't you do something with the girls?
Yeah, I got a phone call. I talked to the girls. Yeah.
So the Big Vito brand has been doing good. They've been doing their thing. Angelo, the psychic, has been reading everybody's mind and spirits and has been doing a great job. And he's on point. The Big Vito brand is doing good. Go to bigvito.com. And check out the Super Wifey show, the Super Ugly show. Check out Virtue's Rage of Wrestling. Check out Angelo and the Psychics. Check out Justin and the Hockey Show. And if I'm forgetting everybody, hey, I'm sorry. Jessica's out there. Madalena, Christine, Noel, Rocky, all the guys, Vince, the boys, the club, the team, the Big Vito brand.
Bro, you're going to start eating, man.
Bro, I'm telling you, I'm not starving myself. Everybody keeps saying it's the humidity. I'm out there all day long. and it's just the way it is in
All right,
Florida.
listen, here's what I want to see. You ready,
Yeah.
bro?
Yeah.
You ready? When we film next week's show, you know, we got a schedule now, bro. Right?
Right.
Here's what I want to see, bro.
Yeah.
When we film next week's show, during that show, I want to see you eat that entire pizza.
Shit, but by the time, it's impossible.
What are you talking about?
Of course, the time we do it, the place ain't open for me to
How long does it take you to eat a pizza, bro?
Well, not long these days, but I mean, hey.
I want to see you because I want to see you eat so I'll feel better, bro.
All right, I'll try to do something on next week's show where we eat pizza, do something, right?
All right, Big Vito. All right, everybody. Bro, what knowledge, man. See that again, bro, it's not I'm not sitting here putting over the show. This is why I do the show with the people I do, bro. And this is why they come down and they break it down for you. So when you're looking at it, you understand why they do the things they do. You understand what's working, what's not working. Only the guys that did it can tell you that. I can't tell you that. Vito, that's why, bro, I never sit there and I never sit there and criticize a match. I'll only criticize a match, bro, like, you know, if somebody really no-sold or, you know, something like that. But I didn't do that for a living. So just Vito, just all that knowledge, bro. I just really, really appreciate that every week, bro.
No, it's something to share. It's something that people should listen to. And, you know, when you talk about wrestling people, it's not just watching TV or sitting there with a podcast from the outside and commenting and making a bunch of statements. If you don't know because you never did it, how could you authenticize what you're saying? How do you have credibility to comment on something if you never did it for a living? This is what I don't understand.
Right.
And for all the people who have this criticizing and all these crazy stalkers and all these people who got bad things to say, guys, unless you've done it, unless you have made a living at it, unless you practice this, how can you take these people's words for it as credible? How could you listen to them? I just don't understand. You're going to listen to somebody who's sitting on the outside, or you're going to listen to a Vito Grasso who's been there, done it, and you've seen him do it in the ring. Who do you think is going to tell you the truth, me or the other guy?
Yeah.
That's what I got.
All right, everybody, there you have it. Words of wisdom from the great Vito Grasso, and we'll have more words of wisdoms tomorrow. If you didn't see last week's show, bro, you guys know Chicken X is tomorrow, and Goldilocks has joined me on that show, bro. When you talk about wide open dialogue, nothing off limits, I never know what's going to happen with her, never know what we're going to discuss. You could see that tomorrow right here. All of you that support me here on the Realm Network, thank you very much. We will see you tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel. Say goodbye, Vito.
Take it easy, peeps.